Ward 2 City Council, and we will hear next from Deborah Delgado, running as a Democrat. Ms. Delgado.
Good evening, Hattiesburg. Thank you to our hosts, my fellow candidates, and to the Council of Neighborhoods for sponsoring this forum. I am here today seeking your support as I attempt to continue the work that I started a long time ago in 2001. It doesn't seem that it was that long ago, but it has. During my tenure on the City Council, we have faced two major natural disasters, of course Katrina and then the most recent storm. And Hattiesburg has really pulled together to recover from these natural disasters. But during the course of that term, we've also suffered unnatural disasters, and one of which is the condition of our sewer lagoon. You have heard me over many years ask the tough and difficult questions. I take my position as an elected official very seriously. I am a representative. We have a representative form of government. And the people who elected me have the expectation that I will ask those difficult questions, that I will be concerned about all issues involving our community. We have faced other difficulties in the community, and you have seen me really work with my colleagues and with the administration to try to make sure that Hattiesburg is a great place for all of us to live. I'm a person who has a talent for making something happen. When I came into office, Ward 2 was really in a difficult situation, and it took real creativity to come up with ways to make life better for the citizens who live in Ward 2. Ward 2 is the home to some of the highest poverty rates in our area. Therefore, there has not been a lot of attention placed on the quality of life of people who live in Ward 2. After traveling the country with the National League of Cities, trying to learn new ways to better serve my community, I ran across other communities that had similar problems, that were serving a similar demographic, and they had instituted creative ways to improve the quality of life. I came up with a model out of Indianapolis, Indiana, which is Fall Creek Place, and developed Twin Forks Rising, which was finally adopted by the City of Hattiesburg in our comprehensive plan.
Ms. Delgado, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. I look for your support.
Ward 2 City Council, running as a Democrat, Luther Reed.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for your time for coming out to this forum tonight. I know we had some severe weather earlier, so it just made it a good effort for the city of Hattiesburg. My name is Luther Reed. I'm retired Air Force. I'm retired from the Forest County Sheriff's Office. And the reason I'm going to run for Ward 2 City Council, I think that there could be a little bit more things done in the ward simply by working with the rest of the council members and coming up with a diverse plan on maybe we can, I guess, really look at the board of zoning in the city and get some things, maybe we get some areas in Ward 2 rezoned to bring in better businesses or something like that in that area, especially in the Mobile Street and the Bull Street area. I remember as a kid when I was growing up, those areas was flourishing at one time. They had lots of industry down there, I call it. We had beauty shops, we had shoe shine parlors, we had cafes, restaurants. We had stores on Bull Street. We need to bring some of those things back. I think I could be instrumental in bringing some of that to this city of Hattiesburg. But most of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out tonight. And thank you, Mr. Swan, and thank you to the Forum Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Have you made a decision about the waste treatment system, whatever it is? What were the determining factors for you? Now we'll move to Ward 2, Ms. Delgado.
Well, it's complicated. I can tell you that this started to affect the city of Hattiesburg long before we got the smell. And it's my belief that it started when our area development partnership in the city of Hattiesburg started negotiating with this company to locate here. And the question becomes whether we learn from mistakes that we've made going forward. And I think that this one is a painful and costly mistake for this council. However, it was started before 2001, and as it progressed over the years, the questions were raised time after time, but they were ignored. And we even had a study conducted where we were told that this is what we were going to expect. But we relied on who was here advising us at the time, and it was to our detriment. Now, in terms of it being brought up just for this election, I think not, because it's something that we absolutely must do to make sure that we get rid of that smell and create a healthy environment for the citizens of Hattiesburg and come up with a wastewater treatment facility that's going to be the most efficient and the most effective that we can possibly have. Have I made my decision? I'm probably closer than anybody else here because I believe that the mechanical process is going to be the best for us. In terms of the price that we've been given, I don't think that that's the correct price because a mechanical system can't be built to the quality that you need or to the stage that you need at the time. If we're going to grow and continue to attract industry, we've got to have a wastewater treatment operation that works. Our lagoon is dead. We killed the lagoon by bringing USA East in here. And we've got to come up with a solution now. And I know the council is trying to do the responsible thing to fix the mess that we're in.
Thank you, Ms. Delgado. Now, Mr. Reed, Democrat from Ward 2.
Thank you. I think everyone had come up with some good suggestions back that way over there. And I think that with the energy crisis that we're having in the United States today, I think what we really need to look at is how the cruise ships do their sewage system and processing their sewage on their boats, where they're not dumping any sewage in the ocean or anything like that. They have a system where they can get the solids and the liquids from that, and they use this as energy on those boats to push them out there. They're not out in that water running on fuel. They're running on I say, the waste products off of that ship or the engine. So does our Navy. They use the same process that these big ships use. You have to package your stuff and use it, reuse it. You know, we're in this reusable stage of the economy now. But this would be a good process of using your solid waste to power energy. And I'm not an engineer, so I really can't get into that part of things. Okay? But I think there's some good points of views that have come from these gentlemen and ladies over here. But hey, we got to do something better than we're doing. That's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. What is your plan to engage citizens in sincere dialogue as opposed to a twice-a-month public forum with no elected official accountability? Mr. Reed?
I think we should use the town hall meeting forum for individuals. We have meeting places in the ward where these individuals can come and get and have a sit down and voice their opinion. You know, the world of technology is great if an individual know how to deal with iPads, computers. Everybody don't have access to computers. Some people are really literate. I'm one of them. Okay? So I basically think you should be able to communicate face-to-face, mouth-to-mouth with each other and listen to their points of view, write these things down. And then we can get together as a council and we can sit down and I can go to you and say, hey, this is what my people came up with out of our town hall meeting. Let's see if we can all work together on getting something done with this in that direction. Thank you.
Ms. Delgado?
I think that a number of things have to go on in order to make the dialogue really genuine. Certainly, the website needs to be up to date. It really needs to have the information there for those who would go looking for it there. The town hall meeting process works well sometimes. But I've gone, over the 12 years that I've been in office, I've gone to so many meetings that I was requested to attend, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 citizens show up. We're all busy, we have our lives going on as citizens of this community, and I understand that when people work all day, they have their children responsibility, they may not come out to these gatherings where I'm going to speak, and then I end up just discussing those issues with the 3 or 4 or 5 people who have attended. As a consequence, I truly believe that our council meetings need to be televised. I thought that from the very beginning. That would give citizens an opportunity to listen, when they're home with their families or whenever, and then give us a call. Council representatives, elected officials, period, need to answer their phone. We need to return calls. We need to keep connected with the people that we represent. We certainly do have a public relations division, and I think perhaps we can do a little better in that regard in terms of getting the appropriate message and information out to persons in the community. It's one of those situations where you certainly have to continue the dialogue, but the community's awareness and education about how you come forward and advocate for those things that you need in your community is going to have to be addressed as well. Our responsibilities are not only what the law requires us to do, but you have an expectation of us that we're going to represent your interests, that if the city is not doing something that it should be doing, that we're going to make sure that it gets done. Now, day-to-day operations by law are exclusively the realm of the mayor. The mayor has that responsibility. However, in the real world, we're put to task daily concerning day-to-day operations.
Mr. Delgado, thank you. I've got several cards up here, and this one seems to really stand out. Several people wanted to know, what do you plan to do to address Hattiesburg's public safety concerns? Ms. Delgado?
I worked in that building when I worked for the city of Hattiesburg for a period of time as a victim advocate. It is an unhealthy building. We need a different place for the police department personnel to locate. I just think it's a terrible place for them to be housed. However, in terms of our priorities, I don't place building a new facility based upon all of the other matters that we're faced with at the top of that list. Now, if we're going to be real about that situation, we purchased the First Baptist Church for the purpose of putting the police department there. And as we all know, that changed. Just like we made the decision to make that purchase to move our police department and some other city offices there, I think we can find a similar option somewhere else. They definitely need a new place. I just don't think that a different place, I don't think that we are in position to make a choice to spend that amount of money on it at this time. In terms of crime in the city of Hattiesburg, I think our police department does a good job. You may have heard recently about an award that they received, but in terms of dealing with crime in this city, crime cannot be effectively addressed until we accept the fact that our crime has to be approached by approaching the problems and the sociological conditions that have been created in our community, most of which are connected to unemployment, poverty, and other issues. We've got to really address the people. When we talk about redevelopment and revitalizing our community, we've got to deal with the people and the problems of the people in a realistic way. What you gonna do, throw everybody in jail?
Ms. Delgado.
You can't afford it.
Thank you so much.
Coming from a law enforcement background, been in law enforcement some 40-something years. You need to have good law enforcement facilities. I'm just telling you the way it is. With the way technology and stuff is going right now, these guys cannot do an adequate job by working in the conditions that they're working in. I have been in the Hattiesburg Police Department. They are moving desks around in there to keep the water from leaking on them. These guys need the new facility. Hey, it's going to take money to make money. You're going to have to spend money to bring the city up to a certain level. With all the new technology that the polices have now, you're just going to have to go there. Renovating and utilizing old buildings and stuff like that, you got to go in and redo these places anyway, refurbish and all that kind of stuff. You're spending X number of dollars. You spend dollars to do it the first time, 5 or 6 years down the road, you got to go back and spend more money to keep the place up going. You need the police department need new facilities. That's all I can tell you.
I'm going to give our candidates an opportunity for a 2-minute closing, and I will be real strict on the 2 minutes. I will give you, I'll say 15 when you have 15 seconds left. So we give each candidate a 2-minute closing statement. Ms. Delgado, 2 minutes, please.
Twin Forks Rising, the Urban Renewal Overlay District for Ward 2 is going to be the largest economic development investment in East Hattiesburg in many years. There has not been anything going on in Ward 2 in terms of real economic investment. This project is going to create business opportunities for residents of Hattiesburg, jobs for people who live in the community. It's going to bring about a revitalization of housing, new housing, repairing of those structures that are capable of repair, new infrastructure, all of that. And it is our desire to make sure that those dollars recirculate within Hattiesburg. And to the extent that we are able to do it, that many of them recirculate within Ward 2. That is the work that I was elected to do. That is the work that I would like to finish. There is no way that we can advance the quality of life in Hattiesburg if we do not pay the people who make Hattiesburg the great city that it is a livable wage. That is something that you've heard from me over and over and over again. But to this point, we just don't get it. That the people who work hard every day to clean up Hattiesburg should be able to afford health insurance for their families. But they're not. We pay poverty wages. And we got to make the people who work for Hattiesburg, who make Hattiesburg the wonderful city it is and the wonderful city that we say that we love. We've got to make the people a priority. Thank you for your vote in the Democratic primary the first Tuesday in May.
Thank you, Ms. Delgado. Mr. Reed, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Everyone has come up with some good ideas on how to do things in city government. I'm not going to sit here and harp on everything that somebody else already said and came up with. The thing of it is, I have a couple of things that I would like to address. The city needs to re-look at zoning in certain areas so that people can be able to bring businesses back. And the infrastructure is, they've put it in the new sewer system, new drainage. Let me just be frank with you, man. The lowest bidder don't need to be getting the contract because they don't have the equipment to do the job. We have city streets around here that have been torn up over a year and nothing has been done to them. They've not been repaved, none of this stuff. And, you know, as far as I'm looking at for engineering, I've been in the military, in the Air Force. We can go out and for 30 days build a runway that can take tons and tons of aircraft and equipment coming in. And we cannot fix the city streets back. And we tear, the lowest bidder tear, and it takes over a year or two to get these things done, hey, there's something wrong with the system. Something terribly wrong with the system. But I'm not going to harp on everything that these guys already done. I'm petty.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Let's give our candidates a big round of applause. We also want to thank the League, the Hattiesburg Council of Neighborhoods for sponsoring this candidate forum. Very good information passed out tonight, and I'm sure the candidates will be up here to shake hands and to talk to you if you have other questions. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for coming, and be sure to vote. Good night.
I want to give our moderator a hand.